Guys, it's Ryan here. Today I'll be talking about finding your voice as a writer. Right, so how do you find your voice as a writer? So your voice, just for some conceptual clarity, is the language that you use, right? It's the grammar you use, it's all the components, all the variables of what makes your writing, right? It's the contents of your writing, for the most part. And you'll never really have a voice, or your own voice rather. Your voice will be much like how everyone has a different accent. Where you grow up and the people who you hear speaking will change your own vocal inflection. Same as how the people who you read, right, the authors that you read, they will sort of lay down a foundation for you to find your own. You become more familiar with the specific grammar used in novels, which is there's some differences than grammar used in all forms of writing. As you become very familiar with that, intimately familiar, you'll start to create your own voice. So, right, using all these, all these voices that you've heard, all these great authors that you've read, hopefully all these great authors that you've read, you'll be able to, start to find a voice. Of course, like, you just sit down and you write, there's your voice, right? But we want to talk about, right, how to refine your voice, how to make it so you can speak, or rather write, in a way that communicates your ideas effectively to people. So, finding that, first of all, practice. There's nothing in this world that, no skill set that doesn't require great amounts of practice, especially if you want to be good at something, right? You just need practice. Moreover, you have to practice mindfully, right? You have to always be thinking about, how can I improve upon this? Explore different forms of narration. One of the most important things is to get feedback from people. Get feedback on how your voice sounds, right? Because that's the most important thing, right? We want to modulate our voice until it becomes effective, until it can communicate our ideas to people in a way that flows naturally, that feels seamlessly when read upon the page. What you do want to be careful of is not getting too attached to your voice. This can affect readability, and what I mean by that is, if you you write in a specific way, and that way is not right, it might really mean something to you, might mean something profound to you, but when someone reads it, they can't really grasp the idea, or they have to stop and really think about that. And there's sometimes you do want to do that as a writer, certainly, but you do want to be very careful of that, because you want it to be seamless. You want people to be totally immersed, not to stop and think, okay, I'm reading a book, and what is this author saying in this book right now? Not so much. Oftentimes you don't want that. But there's so many different ways to do different things, and there's no right or wrong when it comes to writing. But you want to be careful. Three most, I suppose, fundamental steps you could take to finding your own voice, and many different ways to go about finding your voice, is first, read great authors. And there are authors who are much more intentional with their language. A really good example is Patrick Rothfuss. Name of the Wind, Wise Man Fears, Slow Regard, For Silent Things. He is so intentional with his language, and it's remarkable. If you're looking to get your mind blown by language, I'd go right to him. Neil Gaiman, Robin Hobb. There's a lot, there's endless. Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's a bit, comical voice. That's, and second step is to, explore, right? Write in different, forms of narration, first person, third person. And experiment with maybe writing from a different character perspective. Not too many. Don't get wrapped up in writing multiple character perspectives. That can go very wrong very fast. But maybe experiment a little bit. Just see what happens. And third step, probably the most important step, is to get feedback from people. listen to their feedback. Be careful of people who give you, I think it's called proscriptive feedback rather than descriptive feedback. So proscriptive feedback is when you say, oh, you should have put this scene here. You should do that. I mean, there's people who you do want that feedback from, or if you're working with an editor or something like that, you generally want that kind of feedback. But for the most part, especially if you're dealing with somebody who doesn't write, you want descriptive feedback, right? Which is more, this scene confused me. I didn't really understand what was going on here. That's great feedback, because there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the feedback you want. That'll tell you that, okay, there's something confusing here. Maybe you want that. Probably not, but maybe you do. Maybe there's only one person out of 100 who will be confused by that scene. If so, you probably don't want to get feedback from that person. But you want that kind of feedback, descriptive feedback from people, and using that, you start to modulate, and hopefully using all those steps, you can work to finding your own voice. I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day. Bye.